Hey there, this is Laura with Mom Envy, and today we're going to be learning how to use the xTool P2 to create some ornaments using the free SVG files I've given away on my site. So the very first thing we need to do is to put our material inside of our machine, so let me show you what it looks like. I'll be using very thin wood that's about 1/16 of an inch thick, and I will be using my honeycomb. And I've secured our wood with these little magnetic clips against our honeycomb so that way it does not shift around at all while we are processing our file. All right, with our material in place, we're going to click New Project in the upper right-hand corner, and this will load a new canvas onto our next screen. And then we want to get our page set up. So it's going to automatically refresh. If it doesn't though, you can go ahead and click this little camera button here that says Refresh Background. So now we need to get us set up for our actual file. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Process on Slats, and we need to change that because I'm processing on the honeycomb panel. And you just need to select whatever is the method you're using. We can ignore this message that says so that we place it in the slot holders because we already have done that. Now we need to measure the thickness of our material. So we're going to click this little ruler icon in the upper right hand corner, and we are going to take this, it's like a little tiny, almost like a snapshot of a camera. We're going to click in the center of where we're going to be cutting. So now it's going to auto measure. It has auto measured. And as you see, it did change our screen slightly. So it's important to always do that first. Our next step is to insert our images. So up here in the upper left-hand corner, we're going to click this image icon. And then we're going to find wherever you saved the files that you've downloaded. And they will look slightly different than the organization you see here because I've actually cleaned it up since then. But this is how it looks for right now today as I'm doing it because I'm testing these projects. But it will be organized a little bit better when you go to do it. So we're going to insert our SVG files. I'm going to be cutting every single one of my files. But you just only need to insert whichever one you would like to cut. And I'm going to be doing all of my layered versions. And then I'm also going to do one of my versions that is unlayered, just so that way we can see a difference of what the two look like. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the layered ones first, and I'm just going to make sure I insert all 5 of them, and I'll do that real quick. So the next step is we need to size these down. Because I'm working with so many different files, it'll be easier for me to actually insert a rectangle that's approximately the size that I'm looking for, and then size everything down within there. So over on the left-hand side, there is the little rectangle icon, which we are going to click. And I'm going to make my ornaments about 3 inches tall. And up here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unclick the lock aspect ratio, change my width to 3, and I'm also going to do my height to 3. And I just want my ornament to be approximately within that size. So as you can see, as a whole, that doesn't fit. So I'm going to make sure I select the entire thing because I need to make sure that I'm resizing all of the individual pieces the same. So either group them or make sure you select all of it for when you are resizing a specific ornament, because the last thing you want to do is have the ornament itself be huge and the little facial features be too small, or vice versa. So I'm just going to size this down until I get to a size that I like. And I'm going to do this with every single one of my ornaments. And I will go ahead and fast forward through that so you don't have to watch me doing each one. Now you just want to go ahead and make sure you delete that rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and click it and then just delete it off because I don't want to accidentally cut this when I cut everything else. Okay, this next step may be something that you choose not to do, but I'm going to separate all of my individual small pieces from my base ornaments because I'm going to be cutting them with different material. So my individual pieces, I'm going to be cutting on wood that has 3M backing, so that way I can easily assemble this afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I need to make sure I ungroup everything, and I'm just going to take the facial features, the tiny little pieces, and I'm going to move them out of the way, and then I'm also going to, well, let me go ahead and highlight it. I'm going to group them so that way I don't have them get lost from each other. But then over on the right hand side in the panel, it says output. We're going to click this little button here, and that's going to change it so that way that means it is not going to be cut because I've turned off the output. I'm going to go ahead and do this for each one of my files, and then I'm going to arrange my files better on my wood. So you can see over here in the right hand panel, so when I click off of everything, I've got it all moved around. You can see over here on the right hand side that the things that are going to be cut and the things that will not be cut. But I do need to change some of this because as you can see, like where I have the solid red, it definitely, my settings are not correct. So we have to make sure we do our settings next. All right, so we're ready to adjust our cut settings. In the bottom left-hand corner, I'm going to select all the items that are red. So we're going to click on the little red dot, and that will give you everything that I want to be cut. So we're going to click the cut on the right-hand panel, and now we need to change our settings. So we're going to do a power of 100, and then we need to change our speed, and we're going to change it to 55. Not 554, so let's fix that. So we're going to change it to 55, and then we're only going to do one pass. Now remember, your settings for your machine and the type of wood that you're using may look different than this. So if you are using material you have not used before, I suggest doing some test runs so that you don't waste any extra material. Okay, so now we need to come down here to the bottom left-hand side, and we're going to select all of our score lines, which is this little blue dot here. Then over on the right-hand side, make sure it's selected to score, and now we need to change our power setting. We're going to do our lowest possible power and our highest possible speed because these marks are only for us to be able to place our designs on top of, and for this wood, which is so thin, we want it to be as absolutely light as possible, which means we need the lowest power and the fastest speed. All right, so now we are ready to process our file. So in the bottom right hand corner, we're going to click the green Go to Process button. And this is just going to go ahead and take us to our next screen and show us a preview of what we will be cutting. And this is really important when you are ignoring some pieces because you want to make sure that only the pieces you want to cut will be getting cut. So we're going to go ahead now in the bottom right hand corner and click Go to Process. And now it's giving us a warning that our power is set to 1% and we are okay with that. So we're going to click Continue. This will now bring up our preview screen and we'll show you what it is that we're cutting. So again, as we can see now, only our base things are cutting. It's showing it's going to take approximately 1 minute and 51 seconds. So we're going to click the green Start button in the upper right hand corner and I will show you what it looks like over in our machine. We're ready to go. My blue light is on. We're going to push the Start button. So I'm going to use computer magic to go ahead and speed up the cut, but I will show you what it looks like at the end. All right, now that that's cut, I'm going to go ahead and create a new canvas. Up here, I'm going to click the little plus button. I'm going to go ahead and cut one of the single layer files on this wood because it doesn't have the 3M on the backing. And I just want to show you what it looks like when one of those cuts. So I'm going to click Process on the slats. I need to change that again. Oh, actually, I needed to load our surface first. So now we're going to click Process on Slats. We're going to change it to honeycomb. As you can see, now you can see where it's been cut out. Again, I can measure where I'm going to be cutting. I'm going to put my file about here, so we'll click it. It will auto measure. Okay, that has succeeded. Now we need to add our file. So in the upper left-hand corner, we're going to click our little icon that's for the image. And again, yours is going to be saved in a different place because this is not organized very well. So we're going to select the gingerbread man because that's the file that I'm going to be working with. And let me make sure, okay, we're going to have the one that is the single layer file. And now I don't need all of these guys. I'm just going to do the one with the little bow tie. So I'm going to erase these other two. I have to ungroup first, erase these guys. And now I can move this gingerbread man over, making sure I select the entire thing because again, I don't want to lose like any of his details. and I'm going to shrink him down so he's approximately the same size as the other one, so then we can really see a difference of what it looks like when the file is layered or not layered. So we're just going to move him over, and now I'm going to select cut. We're going to again change my power for my cut to not to 1100. That would be way too much, so to 100, and then my speed will be 55 and 1 pass. And now I need to do my score line, so we're going to change the blue to the score. Again, we're going to do power of 1 and our speed to 250 as much as it'll go, so that way it will be as light as possible. All right, we're going to click Go to Process in the bottom right-hand corner. Again, I can click Continue because I'm not worried about the score line being so light. Now this will show us an example of what we'll be cutting, and it's only going to take about 46 seconds. We're going to click Start. You can see our other guys are in there hanging out. They've been cut. We're going to go ahead and start to do one of our single layer ones, which, by the way, is going to look the same as our other guy, except he's going to have a bow tie. Now I almost deleted this and just went ahead and re-recorded it, but you know what? You'll be able to tell that I messed up because you'll see the gingerbread man. And honestly, I think it's important to see that even those of us that have been doing this for a little bit make mistakes all the time. So I accidentally had my settings messed up and it actually cut out my holes. So we need to go back now and redo this again. So we're going to highlight our entire gingerbread man. Let's first refresh our screen. So we're going to click the image capture, refresh, because we want to make sure we move him over. Okay, so we click the refresh button and we will see now our failed gingerbread man is going to appear. Okay, so now we're going to highlight this and we're going to move it over here to the right because we, of course, don't want to go on top. And now we need to figure out what happened. And so, yep, the only thing that scored was his little bow tie. So we're going to click this and we need to right-click and say Ungroup. And so now that we've ungrouped in the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to click the blue line. We need to actually make, okay, everything needs to be in blue, and it is in blue. We're going to click now Score, and we're going to change our settings again to 1 and 250. And now we're going to take our red, which is our outer line, and make sure the cut settings are still good. Okay. Okay, so when we click off, we can see that everything is now correct. Our score lines are all there as score, and our cut is just the gingerbread man outline. So we accidentally had it grouped, and so that's what happened. So now we're going to click Go to Process, again, click Continue, because we're not worried about our score power being so low. It will go ahead and bring up a preview screen, and then we will hit Start. See here where it accidentally cut out his little eyes. So now we're ready to try again. We're going to push our Start button. There we go, it looks much better this time. So now we're going to move on to our other layer, which is going to need the 3M backing. So as you can see here, this is what the 3M backing looks like. And then we need to make sure that when we place it inside of our machine that we are placing it with the 3M backing down. And again, we just need to use our clips to secure our wood into place. We make sure those little metal pieces are pushed down. All right, now we're ready to go ahead to the computer and set up our project. Okay, so now we're going to move to our second layer. So we're going to highlight all of this and turn our output. We're going to turn it off and just move it off to the side. Now we need to get all of our other little pieces that we still need to cut and turn our output to on. And then we're just going to move this over, and I need to make sure all the little pieces are moved somewhere on the wood. And again, this is a new piece of wood, but let's do an image capture because I think, change something around. Yep, I did move it, so go ahead and we will now move all of our pieces into place. Okay, so we have everything in place. We are going to have both some score lines and some cut lines, which you can see over here on the right-hand side. And we just want to make sure now that all of our settings are correct. So we're going to click our cut lines that we're going to be processing. And so now I need to change my Power is going to stay to 100, but I'm going to change my speed and I'm going to slow it down to 45. I find that when I'm using 3M, even though it is so thin, I do find that my speed going down a little bit just ensures that it cuts all the way through that backing, because sometimes I have had trouble with the same settings. And so after this, then we're going to go ahead and change our score line settings. So we're going to click off and then we're going to click our score lines. And then we're going to again do our power at 1 and our speed at 250. And then there we go. We are ready to process. So we're going to click the process button in the bottom right hand corner. Again, we'll click that continue button because we already know that about our speed. And we're going to see what the preview looks like just to make sure everything looks correct. It says it's going to take about 1 minute and 48 seconds. And then when we are ready, we're going to click the start button in the upper right hand corner. And then I'll show you what it looks like inside the machine. We're ready on our machine. We're going to click our blue glowing start button. And once again, we use computer magic to speed up the process. One last thing I'm going to show you is my little trick for getting out these tiny pieces without losing them. I just use a little piece of blue painter's tape and then I push it up against my tiny little pieces and I can pull them out. Okay, so now we have our next steps. We need to clean up the soot from our ornament using some baby wipes. Then we are going to paint our ornaments, let them dry, and then we'll peel off the backing. And we will assemble the layers for our ones that are layered, and for the other ones, they'll just be finished once they are painted. I did not video all of this because I actually did this as a really fun project with my family, but I did take a few photos of the process that I will show you, and I will show you what our final ornaments look like in the end. Now remember, these were done with my family, so they were done with my husband and my kids, so they are definitely not going to be like those picture perfect ornaments that you would be selling, but they are perfect for my family to hang on our tree. We used plates for easy cleanup, and then I also used some painter's tape that I attached the teeny tiny little pieces to just to make sure that they held in place and made it easier for my kids and I to be able to paint them without having to hold the tiny little pieces where you end up getting paint all over your fingers.